declassified. 1944. High above the sweltering jungles of the Pacific, a lone predator scans the skies. Below him, Japanese fighters claw for altitude, desperate to intercept American bombers. They have no idea they are being stalked by a ghost. This ghost wasn't a hardened killer. He was a quiet farm boy from Wisconsin, and by the war's end, he would achieve 40 confirmed aerial victories, a record that remains untouched by any American pilot. This is the story of Richard Bong, the ace of aces. The world was on fire. By the early 1940s, the aggressive expansion of the Axis powers had plunged continents into chaos. In America, the shock of Pearl Harbor shattered a nation's isolation, pulling it into a global conflict it could no longer ignore. For millions of young men, the call to arms was a matter of duty, anger, or grim necessity. But for Richard Bong, a shy young man from the farmlands of Poplar, Wisconsin, the motivation was simpler. He just wanted to fly. The war was the backdrop, but the sky was his Kolinga personal passion, untainted by visions of glory or the grim reality of violence that awaited him. His talent was undeniable, but his discipline was another matter. Assigned to the P-38 Lightning, a revolutionary twin-engine fighter, Bong felt an immediate connection. He pushed the aircraft to its absolute limits, performing daring, low-level loops around the Golden Gate Bridge and buzzing down San Francisco's smartest street stunts that nearly got him court-martialed. His commanders saw a reckless hothead, but one man saw genius. General George C. Kenney, commander of the 5th Air Force, recognized Bong's raw, instinctual mastery of the machine. Instead of grounding him, Kenney took him under his wing. Seen in the quiet farm boy, not a troublemaker, but the key to American air superiority in the Pacific, thrown into the unforgiving skies over New Guinea. Bong's education was brutal and swift. He faced seasoned Japanese pilots, masters of the turn-and-burn dogfight. His early encounters were a harsh lesson in survival. But Bong was a quick study. He abandoned the close quarters, brawling his enemies preferred, and embraced the P-38's strengths. He became a master of energy tactics, using the Lightning's superior climbing power and speed to gain an altitude advantage, then diving down on his unsuspecting targets in a single, devastating pass. He was not a brawler, he was a surgeon. His marksmanship, honed by years of hunting in Wisconsin's woods, was He didn't waste ammunition. He closed the point-blank range, ensuring every burst was lethal, then used his momentum to escape back into the clouds. His tally began to climb with astonishing speed. 5 kills made him an ace, then 10, then 20. The quiet boy from Poplar was becoming a legend. To his fellow pilots, he was a quiet professional, leading by example. To the Japanese, the distinctive silhouette of his P-38 earned a fearsome nickname, the Fork-tailed Devil. But amidst the chaos of war and his growing fame, Bong remained grounded. His heart was 1,000 miles away, captured in the letters he wrote to his sweetheart, Marge Vatendo. Her face, painted on the nose of his P-38, was a constant reminder of the life and the peace he was fighting to return to. But legends are not allowed to remain in the shadows. With his score soaring past the record of World War I ace Eddie Rickenbacker, the military brass saw a powerful propaganda tool. Bong was pulled from combat, his protests ignored, and sent on war bond tours across the United States. He hated it. While he was being paraded as a hero, shaking hands and smiling for cameras, his friends were still fighting and dying in the Pacific. The cheers of the crowds felt hollow, the adulation a heavy burden. He was a pilot, not a celebrity, and his place was in the cockpit with his squadron. The isolation of fame proved to be a different kind of battle, one he was ill-equipped to fight. Eventually, his relentless requests were granted. He returned to the Pacific, not just as a pilot, but as a seasoned leader. The technology had evolved. He was now flying the P-38J, an upgraded model with improved systems that made it an even more formidable weapon in his hands. The nature of the war had shifted. The experienced Japanese aces he once faced were largely gone, replaced by novice pilots who were no match for his perfected tactics. Bong became a mentor, an instructor in the sky, often damaging enemy aircraft and leaving the final kill for his less experienced wingmen. He wasn't just chasing records. He was winning the war, one mission at a time. His bravery became mythical. He seemed indestructible. On multiple occasions, his P-38 was riddled with enemy fire, engines failing, controls shot to pieces. Yet he always managed to nurse his crippled aircraft back to base, sometimes landing with just one engine sputtering to life. He was known to land, count the bullet holes, and calmly state he'd be ready to fly again tomorrow. This relentless determination, this refusal to yield to fear or mechanical failure, cemented his status. He wasn't just lucky. He was a master of his machine and his own will, a pilot who could bend fate to his command. After his 40th confirmed kill, the order came down from the highest levels of command. General Douglas MacArthur personally forbade him from flying any more combat missions. America could not afford to lose its greatest hero. His war was over. His final flight wasn't a blaze of glory against a worthy adversary, but a quiet, anticlimactic ferry mission. He returned home a living legend, but the America he returned to felt alien. He was still the same humble farm boy, profoundly uncomfortable with the mantle of hero that had been thrust upon him. The war had changed him, and it had changed the world he fought for. The end of the war ushered in a new, terrifying age, the jet age. Propellers gave way to turbines, and the sound barrier was a new frontier to be conquered. Bong, always a pilot first, became a test pilot for Lockheed, tasked with taming the radical new P-8 or shooting star. These early jets were notoriously dangerous, pushing the boundaries of engineering and human endurance. On August 6, 1945, Bong took off on a routine acceptance flight. Just after takeoff, his aircraft's primary fuel pump failed. He tried to bail out, but it was too late. He died instantly in the crash. On the very same day, halfway across the world, the city of Hiroshima was erased by the atomic bomb. Bong's tragic, ironic death marked the end of one era of warfare and the dawn of another, infinitely more destructive. Today, Richard Bong's legacy endures. He was more than just a scoreboard number. He was a tactical innovator whose mastery of energy fighting helped write the doctrine for American air power for generations to come. His P-38 is preserved in a museum in his hometown, a monument to his incredible skill, but his true legacy lies in the quiet humility of his story. A modest young man, driven by a simple love of flying, who rose to impossible heights under the crushing weight of history. His is the story of the quiet ghost who haunted the Pacific skies, a farm boy who became and remains America's ace of aces.